So, hi folks, Neil here from Winches. Going to talk to you today about LODAR systems, why we use them, advantages of them, not really any disadvantages, and how to connect a LODAR up simply to something like a King Cobra or Hornet 2 or whatever. Okay. So to start off with, the LODAR units come in a couple of different variations. You can have it as a 4-channel, 6-channel, and you can have it with and without receiver controls. So what do I mean by this? Okay. So a 4-channel one, like we have here, the transmitter gives us on and off buttons, winch in, winch out, a free spool button, and then a spare, which we can program for some other stuff. Talk about that again in a minute. If we go on to 6-channel, now this is ideal if you're running 2 winches, a front winch and a rear winch. So we've got on and off buttons, we've got our winch in and out for the front winch, winch in and out for the rear winch, and we have free spool for front winch, free spool for rear winch. Okay, so that's the handsets. Now the handsets, they're incredibly robust, they will float. Wouldn't advise driving over one, haven't tested it for that, but overall we found these are the most robust units to use. LODAR, brilliant British company to work with. We have very few issues with these. In fact, I can't remember the last time we actually had a warranty issue with LODAR. But if there ever was one, as LODAR agents, we can support fully. Now, with the receiver part, there are 2 options. Now, both the receivers I have here, these have a duplicate set of controls on the receiver. So if anything happens to your handset, you can still use the winch with the receiver controls. But we do have the option for if you've got the receiver mounted in the vehicle, maybe under the bonnet or in an inaccessible place, you don't have to have these controls as well. The install I've just done on the Silver Defender, that you may have seen in other videos, because of where the receiver's positioned, we haven't bothered with that. We're just using the handset. And for mounting the handsets, we've also got the cradles that you can mount anywhere in the vehicle, and then that fits in. So personally, I have that on the dashboard of the truck, and then effectively I've got my winch controls here, or I can take it out and take it with me wherever I'm going. Now, the real advantage of using the LODAR system is when you're using one of our winches with an air free spool, okay? Because most wireless units just gives you winch in, winch out, which is great, but being able to put the free spool in and out when you're rigging makes such a difference. Yeah, this winch here will hold 48 meters of 12mm half-inch rope. So if I'm 40 plus meters away from the vehicle and I've set my rigging up, the ability via the handset to lock the free spool back in, tension the rigging, just see how everything is before walking back to the vehicle and actually doing the winch and exercise, it makes life so much easier, just cuts down all the trudging backwards and forwards. Other thing about the LODAR unit is most other wireless systems have a range of around 30-35 meters. Obviously, with the bigger capacity winches, you could be much further than that away from the vehicle, and the LODAR is good for 250, even up to 300 meters, depending on environmental blockers like trees and walls and so on. So, no matter how big a drum, no matter how much rope you've got on your red winch, a LODAR means that you're still going to be able to have wireless control even when you're at the full extent of the rope. Now, to connect up a LODAR system, it's really simple. Well, let's just move these out of the way, and we'll just look at connecting up the 3-channel. So your Hornet 2 or your King Cobra will arrive with the air solenoid assembly and this wire. So once you've got this mounted in the vehicle and you've got your flag terminals onto your all-bright solenoid, you've got this cable which plugs in like so. And this cable has got 3 wires in it to come back to the LODAR system. Now, we've got a red and a black, so we've got a power and a ground, and then we've got 5 other wires here. The white's the master. Only need that if you're running hydraulic systems. So now we're down to just 4 wires. We've got 1 for each of the 4 channels. So running through, you've got your yellow wire, which is your winch in. You've got your green wire, which is going to be green wire's winch in, yellow wire's winch out, and then the brown wire to control the free spool. And this blue wire is a spare. So we're down to just 3 wires to connect up now. On the loom, we've got 3 colours. Sadly, we don't coordinate the 2 colours together, so there is a little bit of a jiggling of wires here. But basically what we have, and I'll check my notes as I do this one, the brown wire from the winch loom goes to the yellow wire on the LODAR, and that gives you your winch out control. The blue wire from the winch loom goes to the green wire on the LODAR, that gives you your winch in, and that just leaves us this yellow-green wire here for the free spool, and that's going to go to the brown wire from the LODAR. Make those connections, put some power to the LODAR unit, ground the LODAR unit, and then you've got full control for your winch. We would advise putting a inline fuse. LODAR say that the fuse should be rated for what you are controlling. For any of our electric winches, for the signal voltage, you don't need anything more than a 5 amp fuse. So if you can put that on a fuse spur, that would be great. One little tip when you're wiring this up, I would have the LODAR off the ignition live rather than the winch isolator. Now the reason for that is, if I want to be able to operate the winch in, winch out signal or the free spool signal without having the motors powered, I can still do that. If I've got it on the isolator, either the whole winch is dead or the whole winch is live. We will talk a bit more about this in other videos, but having the motors isolated but having the winch in, winch out signal still working can be an advantage when you want to use the brake for lowering. Final thing with this is the spare channel. If you've got a spare channel, we can program this as latching or non-latching, and that can be run then by the blue wire. So if you want to put an accessory, let's say a spotlight illuminating your drum for use at night, we can program that to be a latching signal, and you can control a spotlight as well, or something else, sort of whatever your imagination can come up with. But anyway, that's the LODAR systems. Out of all of the options, this is our preferred option for controlling a winch. We've still got the plug-in hand controllers, we've still got the more basic wireless systems, but this gives you the best of everything. You've got the dash switches permanently attached to the vehicle, and you've got wireless when you want to get out and walk around. Once you've used one of these, you'll never go back to anything else. Anyway, hope that helps.